There's, of course, a brand new movie that's out there. It was supposed to come out quite a while ago. And that movie is The Hunt. The Hunt was supposed to come out a while ago. And it is now opening this week in theaters. It should be opening tomorrow in theaters. Now, I have been very interested in this movie because it looks like just a bonkers, crazy, off-the-wall kind of nonsense. It looked like, liberal Hollywood making a movie where liberals are the big bad villains in the movie, and apparently it was supposed to be just savage against left and right people and all this kind of stuff, mixed in with a whole bunch of gun, ridiculous, over-the-top violence and all that kind of stuff. So I've been very, very curious about this movie quite a bit. So I went out with great interest to a press screening the other night. And you guys know I don't go to a lot of press screenings anymore, but I've been waiting for this one, and I've been curious about this one. So I decided to run out and go see this one. And I can tell you, it's not that good. It's not that good.
Oh, man.
I know, but let me talk first about some of the pros of some of the things that I appreciated in this movie from a satire point of view. This movie's vicious because it, without any mercy, just in almost a bloodthirsty way, goes after everybody on the political spectrum. Like, it is savage against people who are right-leaning, savage against people who are left-leaning. It's just a movie that goes after everybody and does so with the gloves off. No kiddie gloves at all. It just goes absolute 100% savage on it. I'll also say, and some of it's very funny, I will also say that the stuff that I was really looking forward to, that over-the-top bonkers kind of violence in it, just like bonkers crazy violence, to some degree, it actually delivers on that promise. It does. There is some crazy violence. And I'll tell you what else, Rob. One of the things that I really appreciate about a lot of movies are movies that don't waste any time. Like, they just jump right into it. I really appreciate movies that don't feel the need to spend 10 minutes just, oh, this is the world that this happens in. We're just going to walk around in it for a while, and then maybe in 10 minutes, the movie will start. This is like, bang, right out of the gate, this movie starts, and I really appreciate it. I also got to say that the performances are actually really quite good. I can't remember the name of the lead actress. Gilpin, the girl from the wrestling show, Glow.
Yeah.
She's real good in it. She's really good. And of course, Hilary Swank is always good. But the supporting cast was good and all that kind of stuff too. So that's all the stuff that I appreciated about the movie. So you might be wondering to yourself right now, Rob, well, then why didn't you like it very much?
Betty Gilpin, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll tell you why. At the end of the day, I don't hate this movie. I don't hate it. But while I walked out going, meh, it's mostly because of this. While I said they do savagely go after everybody on the left and the right and all that kind of stuff, it's a little too on the nose. Every time it's like I was watching it and all I kept thinking was, and I was sitting beside the great and wonderful Gray Drake. I was sitting beside her for the movie, and I leaned over and I said, it's just that it feels like this movie thinks we're all too dumb to get the joke unless they over-explain the joke. You know what I mean? And when that happens, you move from comedic satire to something else that's so much more extreme that just pulls you out of the fun of the movie. And if it just happened once or twice, you can get over that. But the thing is, it's layered on so thick that it becomes a complete and utter distraction through the movie, that some parts that could have been really funny lost their humor because they way overdo it or way over-explain it, where something more subtle would have had much better comedic impact. You know what I mean? And here's where the big problem with The Hunt is, okay? On the one hand, it's supposed to be this gritty, over-the-top, super violent kind of fun time at the movies. But when you're so heavy and so deep and go so too far with your satire to the point that you're over-explaining and trying to make it so, it makes it feel like they're two different movies. Like, even the gritty, fun violence loses its fun because it feels like I'm just watching a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Right.
You know, if they had done everything else on a little bit more subtly, then I think it would have blended in with the action and it would have heightened the action and all that kind of stuff. So listen, I'm not sitting here saying that this movie is terrible. I'm not sitting here saying no one's going to like this movie. Not at all. I can just tell you, as somebody who was pretty excited about it, I found it a little bit, especially with their humor attempts, too over the top. That kind of saps the life out of the movie. So, I mean, I really respect what they were going for. I really respect what they were going for. But I just thought the execution just wasn't quite there. So not a terrible movie, and you may enjoy it. And I hope that you do. But for me, my expectations were not met. I was hoping for a little something better.
Let me ask you this. You saw Ready or Not?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I thought that Ready or Not, in terms of its satire, it did a much better job of skewering like the 1% and people that were people inherited money and yet it still had that they're hunting a human being. And I, like you said, I found that movie to be very rewarding because of its satire, that it didn't hammer the point home. And was Ready or Not a better movie?
Dude, that is, I wish I had thought of that. That is the perfect thing to hold up against The Hunt is Ready or Not, because Ready or Not is also, it's got peppers of satire in it that plays up on certain things, right? But it does it so much more aptly. It does it with a little bit more of a, it's weird to think of it this way when you're thinking of the movie Ready or Not, but it does it with such a more sensitive hand that understands that our audience will get the joke. Let's do this joke, and they'll get the joke without us having to make it so thick that even a 3-year-old will roll their eyes and going, yes, we get it. And that's the perfect comparison, Rob. Ready or Not is an example of it being done really well and really right. And The Hunt, I'm not going to say doing it really wrong, but not doing it as right. So, yeah.
How about the climax? Because Ready or Not has a very unexpected yet very apt climax that actually made me laugh out loud when it happened. Did The Hunt stick the landing?
Let's put it this way. What you learn in the movie is that what this movie is ultimately about from a narrative point of view is, okay, so you got these rich liberal elites capturing and hunting these redneck hicks. You know, these are the terminologies they're using in the movie. But what you start to understand is that the underlying narrative becomes why. Why? That actually becomes an important question in the movie.
Okay.
Why? Why are they doing this? And as the story starts to unfold, it's actually, the why becomes pretty interesting. And the why question actually starts to make its own interesting commentary. And I got to say, that's probably the best part of the movie. That whole thing about exploring the why, and then the climax of the film, which is the answering of the why, is kind of one of the more interesting parts of the movie. So, yeah, at the end of the day, Rob, I'm going to say this is not a terrible movie. It's not awful. I don't think you're just throwing your money away if you go watch it, because I do think this is going to appeal to some more people other than me. And I think there's a change. I think it's got just a little under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which means close to half of the critics like it too, and a little more than half the critics don't. I'm one of the ones who don't, but it's still, if you think it looks really appealing, it still might be one worth you checking out. I'm just letting you know in advance, I walked out a little bit disappointed. So there's that, guys. Question is, how are you thinking about movie The Hunt? Maybe you were never interested in the first place. Maybe you've been dying to see it. Anyway, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay.